In this tutorial, we'll look at three tools: a label, a picture box, and a panel. Now we're going to start out in this tutorial by changing the form file name of the project itself. So over here in the Solution Explorer window, I'm going to change the file name by right-clicking, choosing Rename, and I'm going to change it to the same name as my project. Welcome 2018. This won't appear on the actual viewing GUI. It will just be part of the identification of the file, but I've made it the same as the actual project name. I'm going to hit the Enter key, and we can see that the form file name changed to Welcome 2018, and the tab that represents my form also changed to Welcome 2018. I'm going to change the title bar. We call this the title bar in the GUI. This will be the first time we're changing that option. Right now, the text of the form says Form 1, so we're going to go down to text, and I'm going to change it just Welcome. Hit the Enter key, and we can see that Welcome appears in the title bar of the GUI itself. Now, I'd like to change the size of the GUI. Remember, we can change it by moving the sizing handles. We can see the properties change here in the property window, or I can manually change them. And I'm going to manually change them to approximately 616, 440. Something close to that. It doesn't have to be exact. So my GUI changed a little bit in size with regards to the height and the width of the GUI. From there, then, we're going to change the form color. This will be different. So this is the back color of the form. So we're going to scroll up to back color. It's in alphabetical order in the properties window. I'm going to choose on control, gives me a drop down option. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow. I have two tabs here, one for custom and one for web. We're going to choose the custom tab. That gives me a set of values, and I'm just going to choose a light color for right now. And we can see that this lemony yellow color has appeared in the background of my GUI. From there, then, we're going to add a label. Remember, that's in our toolbox. I'm going to hover over the toolbox, and I'm going to scroll till I find label. I can add it one of two ways. I can double click on it, or I can click and drag it into my GUI. Now, it is set on auto size, and so we want to change that so that we can make the label as large or as small as we wish, not dictated by the amount of text that we have in there and the size of the text. So with the label highlighted, the label property window has appeared, and so I'm going to go to the auto size property, which right now says true, which says it will auto size it according to the text within the box. I'm going to click on that. Again, it gives me a drop down menu, and I'm going to choose false. And when we choose false, we can see that the sizing handles on the GUI have appeared. So I'm just going to move this into the center of my GUI. We're going to add text to it. And so we're still in the label. So we're going to scroll down to the text property. Right now it says label 1 by default. And I'm going to add a welcome to Visual Basic as a statement in my label. Welcome. Hit the Enter key, and we can see right now currently it doesn't all appear, but if I resize my label, I can see my text in there. Now, right now, by default, it's in the upper left-hand corner. I would like to change the alignment and put it in the center of my label. So right underneath text is the property text align. So I'm going to click on what is currently top left. Again, a drop-down menu appears, and here it gives me a picture of where I would choose to put my text. I'm going to choose middle center. So we can see that the text has now moved to the middle center of the label. So no matter how I size my label, it will always be in the middle of the label itself. Now, this is our chance to change some of the font. So I'm going to scroll up to the font property, and I'm going to click on the default font that's there. The ellipsis appears, the three dots, letting me know that a pop-up window giving me choices will appear when I click on it. So I get to choose the style of font. So I'm going to choose something a little more creative looking. I can bold it if I want, and I can make it whatever size I want. So I'm going to choose something a little on the larger size. So let's choose 20. Here I get a view of what it's going to look like before I add it. So again, it's still too large, so I'm going to resize. We can see that as I resize it, my text still stays in middle center. What we're going to do is I'm going to align this text box in the middle of the form box. So with the text box highlighted, I can see at the top that we can format. A format tab appears, and it will allow me to center align my text box within my GUI box. So I'm going to go for center in form. I'm going to choose to center it horizontally, so it will center it from left to right. If I choose vertically, it will center it from top to bottom. Now I'm just going to move it up a little bit because we're going to be adding some other pieces, this GUI here. So I'm going to move it sort of up out of the way for right now. So that is a text box. We changed the font, we changed the size, we changed the alignment of the label. So now we're going to add a picture box. So again, hovering over the toolbox, I'm going to look for the picture box in my toolbox window. And here we can see it has an icon with a little mountain and a sun on it. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to click and drag it over here. And now right now there isn't an image in there. We can see though that the picture box was added to my properties window. And so we're going to scroll down to image and we're going to go add an image to my GUI. So I look for the property image. Right now it tells me that there is none, so I'm going to click on that. The ellipsis appears again, which tells me that a pop-up window is going to appear. And we're going to go look for an image on my laptop. So it is a local source. We're going to import this image. So I'm going to look for it. I have one saved here in a folder. It is a PNG of a bug. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on open and it will show me a preview of what it looks like and I'll hit OK. Now, if you notice, it was a nice full picture, but when I see it in my picture box, I do not see my entire image. So rather than try and resize it to get it right, we can change a property of the window so it sets the image properly inside of the size of the picture box itself. And we're going to go to my properties window and I'm going to scroll down to the size mode. That property allows me to change the property of the image itself as it appears within the picture box. It gives me a drop-down menu, and what we're going to do is we're going to have it stretch the image as I would choose to stretch the picture box. So as we can see, my image now appears in the middle of my GUI itself. So we can see that I can format this one in the center of the form as well, horizontally. And so it moved it, aligned it with the text box above it so that it is aligned in a very uniform fashion from left to right. So the next thing that we're going to add is we're going to add a panel. A panel can be something that is just enhancing the overall appearance of the GUI. We certainly can add things inside of the panel. But what's going to happen here is I want to show you the behavior of adding objects into the GUI itself. So we're going to add a panel. So I'm going to look for the panel on my tool box here. And so I'm going to click and drag a panel over. And I'm going to bring it over into my center here. Now you can see what happens when I added the panel. It takes on the background color. And it covers all of my images. That's what I don't want my panel for. I'm going to use the panel to frame my GUI and my label and my picture within there. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind as we're adding objects is that it's going to layer each object on top of each other. So we need to make sure that we layer it appropriately. So here I have my panel and I'm going to move my image and then I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger here and then I'm going to move my label also into here, and so I want him in there as well. Now I'm going to resize this and I'm going to use this just to create sort of a picture frame effect inside of my GUI panel. Right now we don't see it. It's not an image. It doesn't have a border to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a border style to it. So we can see that the panel was added to the properties window. I'm going to scroll to border style. Right now none is chosen. So when I click on it, again, a drop down box, I'm going to choose fixed 3D. And so the fixed 3D, if I click on the form to get rid of the object outline, you can see now that a three-dimensional frame has been created within my GUI. And so it just gives a little bit of an artistic look to the GUI overall. Now I'm going to recenter my picture box and my label since I had moved them in order to put this into the form. Now I would typically say that you would want to enter the panel first. If you have a panel in your GUI, put that in there so that you can layer your objects within it right away rather than waiting. So from here then we're going to run this GUI. So I'm going to choose the green arrow. And so we can see that I have my labels telling us welcome to Visual Basic. You can see the 3D recessed image of the panel behind, and then my picture box. So this is the use of a label, a picture box, and a panel within our GUI.